Hey everybody, Blood Moon Bobby here, and yes, that's right. This video is being shot at 4K, and hopefully you're watching this on 4K on your computer or maybe even your TV. That's because all along my Nikon Z6 could actually shoot 4K. It's just that I shot in HD because my computer at the time couldn't really handle 4K files. Until now, I'm actually currently reviewing this 13-inch MacBook Pro with Apple Silicon. The great news is that this could actually edit 4K pretty decently, so that's why there's been an increase in quality in terms of the resolution. So anyway, just pointing out that difference. Anyway, on to this Tom and Jerry review. Alright, so talking about the new Tom and Jerry movie that was just released in select theaters and HBO Max. I've done a trailer reaction, and now I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the film. Before I do, as I often do with franchised properties, I like to talk about my thoughts on the intellectual property it's based on. So Tom and Jerry, easily I could say one of my favorite Hanna-Barbera cartoons. I honestly think it aged the best because instead of being a very dialogue and character driven series, it was much more focused on the crazy slapstick of like Tom constantly trying to catch Jerry, and Jerry often in tackling Tom in often the most enjoyably violent kind of ways. I mean, it's all comedic and such, but it still remains one of my favorite cartoons to this day. I remember I used to watch the VHS tapes as a kid, and even my mom is a really big fan of Tom and Jerry. So yeah, definitely got Tom and Jerry fans in this household. And so now I'm going to be talking about the recent movie, the live action animated movie with Tom and Jerry that just came out starring Chloe Grace Morëtz. And what did I think of this movie? Let's get into my thoughts on the movie. So this Tom and Jerry movie is basically about Chloe Grace Morëtz plays this character named Kayla who just got a job working at this hotel, and one of the first tasks she's assigned to is the hotel finds out that they've got a bit of a mouse problem, and that problem is named Jerry. So basically Kayla brings along Tom in order to catch this mouse, and they're going to have to sort out this problem soon because of this upcoming fancy wedding that's being taking place at this hotel. Now, before we get to the part of this review, I do want to talk about my good stuff, because this was a movie that I did genuinely really want to like. I really don't like when I have to come here, you're saying that I didn't like a movie that I'm going to talk about, but this is still my honest opinion. But let's focus on the stuff that I did like first, since this is an objective review where I'm supposed to go through both. Now, the good stuff here is I do appreciate that this movie is a film where it mixes live action and animation. It's not too often that we see these kinds of movies, especially these days, and I do appreciate much of the work that went into it, and I would say the mixing is pretty good, and it does have its standout moments. Like something I noticed about this movie is, I guess to keep things consistent, that because Tom and Jerry are animated, basically all the animal characters in this film are animated themselves. You'll see like characters walking around with their pets. The dogs will be animated. There's actually this really neat fish market scene. It's only in the film for like a very short amount of time, but I like how it's neat how the fish are all like animated. There's also a scene where Tom and Jerry go to this museum, and this dinosaur skeleton is all animated, so I thought it was kind of a neat sort of style of the movie. And actually, one of my favorite scenes that mixes live action and animation is a scene where one of the characters goes to get Tom and Jerry out of this pound, and I really like how it mixes styles, because they not only do the thing where the human is a live action character and Tom and Jerry are animated, they even play with some animated text. So for instance, Tom is looking nervously at this clock, and you see the literal words tick tock coming down to Tom's face, and as this sketchy character is proposing this deal to Tom and Jerry, you actually see the words "here's the deal" or something to that effect behind them, and there's like one more that follows later on in the conversation, and it's all edited really well with all these different clips. And I do like how it's the kind of thing where in this scene you kind of know where it's going, but I really like how the filmmakers had fun with this scene, and I genuinely wanted to see what was going to happen. I was trying to figure out what's this guy up to, because it's clear that he's got some kind of motive for asking Tom and Jerry to help him. And also, the acting is enjoyably over the top, and I think that's pretty much what they were going for in this movie, in terms of they were going for that sort of like comedic, cartoony sort of films. So, of course, the actors act in this really over the top style. The hotel staff is like very enjoyably over the top, up like the managers and the different people that work there. And Chloe Grace Morëtz, I really like how she plays this character. I was kind of surprised to hear she's this kind of like smooth talking character who finds a way to get into her job and sort of like tricks the staff into thinking that she's, you know, a really great applicant and that sort of thing. And I think when it comes to that side of her acting, I really like how she plays that sort of character in the film. And now on to the stuff that I didn't quite like as much. And unfortunately, I feel like this is one of those movies where the filmmakers were trying too hard to modernize. They're trying too hard. There's like a lot. It's one of those like movies with a ton of pop cultural references. I wouldn't mind if they're just here and there very subtly in order to state that this movie takes place in modern times. Like, that stuff doesn't bother me as much, but when it gets like really over the top pop culture references, it just feels like a lot of them were unnecessary. Like, for instance, there's a scene where this goldfish doesn't like Tom. And how did they indicate this? Filmmakers could have just had the goldfish have like a sour facial expression, but instead the goldfish like thinks up a poop emoji, like literally the poop emoji you could see on a smartphone. And I'm just like, really, is that necessary? There are also these two elephants in the film, and they talk in that like super modern sort of way, and they're using a lot of anagrams like OMG or LOL. And also, even though I think that Chloe Grace Moretz's character Kayla is okay, and I think that she, you know, is acted well for what she has to do, she does tend to use a lot of like, you know, super modern sort of talk, and you could kind of tell that was put in the script. And that's sort of what are the kids doing these days, like sort of way, where it just kind of feels like a corporation was like putting all this in, because it's just like, we got to make sure, you know, kids really like this movie and that sort of thing, which it is. Like, obviously that is the target audience, and they want to, you know, make Tom and Jerry into something modern, into something that you know, that I'm sure they were trying to get for like both kids and adults to enjoy the movie. But I just feel a lot of those pop cultural references were really unnecessary. And also, Tom and Jerry slapstick, while decent, I don't remember many of their slapstick jokes like making me laugh a lot. Like, I didn't find any of them to be super, super humorous. I mean, I kind of get this. I mean, I get the sense that they were trying, but I just didn't find myself laughing. I mean, some of them just kind of felt like it just kind of felt like, you know, just, you know, run-of-the-mill stuff that we've seen in like Tom and Jerry cartoons before. Some of them I think were like, some of the standout ones that I think were okay. Like, I think of the scene where Kayla meets Tom for the first time, and she asks Tom, "Isn't catching mice part of your DNA?" And he like sort of opens himself, and you see this like DNA strand where a cat is chasing a mouse. And I thought that one was pretty decent. And there was also this elaborate trap that Tom puts together involving coffee in order to catch Jerry. And I thought that stuff was okay, but I felt that it could have been a lot funnier. And just saying, for those who don't like the liar revealed motif, I won't get into spoilers, but that's kind of part of the climb of the third act of the movie. So overall, I just kind of felt that Tom and Jerry was sort of a meh sort of movie. It's not an awful movie by any sort of means. I mean, you know, this is but not even close to like the worst movie I've ever seen. I'm just kind of disappointed. And so, I mean, I honestly kind of wish that in terms of like what route this movie should have taken, I kind of wished it had that sort of similar enthusiasm as that scene where the sketchy character was actually an events manager, when the events manager meets with Tom and Jerry, and they do that really cool stuff with the animation. And even though you could kind of sense where this character is going, you could at least get the sense that this character is trying to manipulate Tom and Jerry. I like how they were able to still have fun with it, and I just wish that the movie had that sort of feeling. Instead, this whole movie just kind of has that, what did the kids like these days? And honestly, I don't really like seeing that in movies anymore. If you still want to, that being said, if you do want to see a movie where you see Tom and Jerry go through their slapstick and you want to just see that and then have fun, and if you want to see that and have fun with it, then I would say more power to you. I was actually talking to a friend of mine earlier about what I saw in this movie and giving her my thoughts, and she seemed to still get a giggle out of it. So if you're coming in and you're looking for a movie where Tom and Jerry are or going for the slapstick, then, and I still think that that you'll still find enjoyment out of it. I mean, one of the reasons why I feel so torn on doing like reviews where I talk about movies that I didn't really like. I mean, part of it is because, like, I want to have as much of a comprehensive experience that I have with movies in general. I don't just want to watch movies that I like or have a sense that I'm going to like this movie, because I want to give these movies a chance, and the reason I do these reviews is because I want an opportunity to give my thoughts on a movie I just saw. I don't want to make this review to shame anybody that may like this movie. And I know there's people out there that might like this movie just fine. And I think that's really wonderful. And I don't want you to feel like ashamed for you liking or even just being excited for this movie. The good news is the movie's out now. If you want to watch it on HBO Max, it's there. So, because I just generally don't like that internet mindset where it feels like everybody's guilt tripped and pressured to like a certain opinion and that sort of thing. And I'm just on here just giving my thoughts. I just want the opportunity to give my thoughts, and I really don't like that sort of feeling when I feel guilty about having the opinion that I have. So, but I would still recommend checking out the Tom and Jerry movie so that you could form your own opinion. I think that's really one of the great things about movies in general, is that people can go in with their own interpretations and my interpretations and takes on a movie. So I think that's really one of the great things about movies or TV shows together. So so those were my thoughts on the Tom and Jerry movie. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you seen the movie? Or are you looking forward to it? Do you have any concerns? Leave all those thoughts down below. And until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Hi everyone, thanks for watching this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos, and ring the bell to be notified about my latest uploads. Don't forget to follow me on social media for my latest opinions and video updates. I hope to see you next time.